You listen to Radio 107.6 FM, broadcasting live and direct from the Bobbers Mill Community Centre, 512 to 514 Berryhead West, High Green, Nottingham, NG75JU. Before we get started with the tech clinic, let's first of all bring Brother Ghufran into the show.
Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum assalam, Brother Yasar. That's stereo. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Yasar. How are you doing?
Wa alaikum assalam. Alhamdulillah, I'm fine. How are you?
Alhamdulillah.
Good, good. Excellent. Tech clinic.
Tech clinic. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam once again.
Once again, we're at that time of the day, of the week.
Of the week and the day, yeah.
We tend to get into our little zone, get into our technical zone, so hopefully people are seeing some value, little value. And some of the questions we had this week are really good. Got some crackers this week.
He's got some crackers.
Inshallah.
He's happy.
Okay.
I can see by the smile on his face.
Yes.
That's always a good sign. Better for me, though. Easier for me.
So we've got 25 minutes. We're going to try and finish on time.
25 minutes? We've got less than 25 minutes now. We've got 20 minutes.
20 minutes, okay.
Yeah, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Right, we've got an amazing device, though, in the studio. We're going to love this. I'm not going to say anything yet. Don't worry. First question. Google Glasses project. Tell me more.
Yeah, Google Glasses, this has been around for a while. The Google Glass, google.com/glass. Think of it as your world through glass. It's like wearing a computer on your glasses. That's what exactly it is. It's a wearable computer. So think about looking at your emails and searching on Google and looking at Google Maps through your sunglasses. So these are wearable sunglasses where in certain positions on the lens you'll be able to see lots of wonderful technical information. So this is a project produced by Google, and it's called the Project Glass, and it displays information from your smartphone, and pretty much everything you can see on your smartphone will be projected onto your glasses, and it will be voice activated. So if you want to, a bit like Siri today, what is the weather, or take me to Asda, or take me to the Radio Dawn office, the navigation maps, it uses that similar technology for the voice activation. So you're controlling everything through your voice, and you're visualizing it through your glasses. Interesting. Would you want to be wearing these glasses throughout the whole day, and will you get eye strain, and what is it going to make society into? Just think of walking down the high street and everyone's wearing these smart glasses everywhere, and people actually talking as though they're talking to thin air, but talking to the glass. But interesting, it's there. And there was a program Google had where you can actually sign up and be a tester. That program was closed. But for further information on how to get these glasses, I'm not sure if they're available today. I think the prototype is. You can go to google.com/glass, and you can learn a lot more about it. You can actually see how that glass experience is. So it's an interesting one. Whether or not I'll be using it, I don't know yet. I'm slowly starting to talk to my phone now, which is interesting, using the Siri and the voice activation.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, a smartphone on your glasses. That's exactly what it is, and it's here today.
It's available.
It sounds rather futuristic, but it's here, guys. Google.com/glass.
Awesome. Right, and the second question. How do I set up a lockdown on my iPad for my kids so they cannot do much more than the apps I have installed on the iPad?
Okay, wonderful question, and I'm happy the person is asking this question. So it shows a responsible parent showing or demonstrating responsible computing. So all parents should know what their children are looking at on the internet through their computers or their phones or their iPads or smart devices. So we touched upon this I think last week as well, where on the device you can go into settings, and there's an option called restrictions, where you can restrict the device, so you can turn off the ability to install applications, to uninstall applications, and you can turn off applications like Safari for the web browsing. You can turn off YouTube. So there are some applications you can turn off, and you can restrict all content to just the apps you've actually installed. Now if you want your children to actually surf the web as well on the Apple device, you can either have the browser on or browser off. The challenge with putting the browser on is you've got no control over what websites your children are viewing. So if you do want children to view websites from your iPad, there is an application for £1.99. Not going to break the bank. Specifically on the iPad, it's called Child Safe, made by a Finnish company, and that allows you to control exactly what people are, what your kids are browsing to on the device. So you can control keywords, you can block content, you can block harmful websites. So a very good app if you want your children to be surfing the web. using the Safari browser on your iPad, and it's called Child Safe. That's 2 words, Child Safe. You can get it from the iTunes store for £1.99, and I'm not a salesman for them, but it is a very useful app for controlling access on your iPads. So thank you, caller, for that particular question. Wonderful question.
Awesome. Right, moving on to the next question. BlackBerry Q10 release date, specs, and in your view, worth getting or not?
Okay, not a show goes by where we don't have a question about telephones. It's a recurring theme, isn't it? So BlackBerry Q10, I've not seen it, I've not touched it, but just looking at what it actually does, it's available for pre-order in the UK as we speak, and it will be available end of April, ships end of this month. You can think of the Q10 as the BlackBerry Bold of the BB10 era,
right? And
it's a top tier QWERTY device, has a physical keyboard. The Z10 device we spoke about a few weeks ago was completely touchscreen,
right?
Whereas this Q10 is a hybrid. It's got the 3.1 inch touchscreen on top of a QWERTY keypad. So people from the old school BlackBerry users who love that particular keyboard, they'll have that experience on the Q10. So it's really for power users. Lots of enterprises still use the actual BlackBerry with a physical keyboard.
Okay.
Those type of people may find this really useful. And lots of interesting specs actually. So it's not your, I don't think it's an S4 or a HTC or an iPhone, a Beta, but it has a specific market. I mean, it's got a super AMOLED capacitive touchscreen. It's not full HD, it's 720 by 720 pixels. It takes in a micro SD card up to 64 gigabytes of RAM. Got the usual Wi-Fi, 3G, 8 megapixel camera. It can record video at 1080p, which is interesting.
Wow.
Yeah, so
it's impressive.
It is, and runs BlackBerry 10 OS and usual BlackBerry apps, and standby talk time up to 10 hours. So I think the ideal user for that would be someone coming from the BlackBerry era who needs that physical keyboard. And you can get that end of this month, and it's available for pre-order from all the networks today.
So happy days for the keyboard lovers.
Yeah, keyboards are back.
Yeah. And we'll see how it picks up or not. Moving on to the next question. I want to learn binary. There you go. I knew one day it was going to come. Do you know where I can get lessons for this, or would the radio ever do lessons on it?
Well, we could do crash lessons on this, I suppose. Binary is quite simple. It's either yes or no. It's on or off. Either is true or false. So binary is simply a replacement of the numerical digits that we've been learning from 0 right through to 9. So instead of counting from 0 to 9, you can only have a possibility of 1 is on or 1 or 0 is off.
Okay.
So you think about electricity. Electricity is simple as well. So you've got a current or no current. So if you look at all the computers today, at the end of the day, it's just the ones and zeros down the wire.
Okay.
So the best way to represent electrical current is by saying 1 and turning yes, and when there's no current, it's represented as 0. So modern day electrical engineering, electronics, in fact all electronics, old day and modern day, were based on this binary system. So to learn binary, it is quite simple because you can only have a 1 or a 0. So 1 in binary is 1. Okay, 2 in binary is 1 0. So you've got this idea of placeholders. So if you start from the right to the left, every digit has a weighting, starting from 1, 2, 4, 8, 16. So 1 in binary is 1. 1 in decimal is 1 in binary is 1. Okay. 2 in binary is 1 0.
Right.
So that 1 actually has a weighting of 2. So that's how you work it out.
Okay.
So 2 in binary is 1 0, and 3 in binary is 1 1. 4 in binary is 1 0 0, and 15 in binary is 1 1 1 1. Why you want to learn binary? I suppose it's fundamental for academic reasons. So yeah, I mean, you can do Google I want to learn binary, and you'll see lots of examples on how to do that. So yeah, it was an interesting question.
Something
it was on or off. It's simple, on or off, and you can even get binary watches now. So
binary watches,
rather than reading your numerical digits, you have a number of dots representing the ones, and no dot is a 0. So you have to work out what the weighting of each symbol is to work out the time.
Next you'll be saying you can get Klingon watches. I don't know if I want to go there. Next question. I want to use Linux as my desktop PC as the main OS. Could you tell me the key differences between Linux and Windows, and where can I learn about the OS?
Okay, Linux is a rival, I'd say, to Windows.
Right.
Linux actually has a number of key differences to Windows. I'll just run through a few of them before we talk about some real-life examples. It's started off as a free operating system, and
Yep.
you have many Linux distributions from different vendors, and they are all free. In some cases where you're paying for Linux, you're paying for the support and some enterprise features. So, whereas Microsoft, it's a paid-for operating system produced by Microsoft. Linux is produced by the community. So there was a chap called Linus Torvalds. He was the founder of that particular operating system. But now it's managed and maintained, updated by the community, and that's what it's called open software. So open source software is free. It can be freely distributed. You can download it, and you can install it. Some versions of Linux that you pay for are a hell of a lot cheaper than Windows as well. Windows minimum can be around from $50 right through to $450. Windows can be quite expensive, and there's lots of flavors of Windows, all produced by Microsoft, of course. The users of both, home users can use Linux, home users can use Microsoft. A lot of enterprises now using Linux. Your Apple Mac, Mac OS is a version of Linux under the covers. So if you want to learn how to use Linux and you have a Mac, well, no need to go out and install another Linux machine. You've got the basic operating system there to learn the Linux commands. So price it is free. You generally want to, if you are going to be paying something, you're going to be paying for support from that particular vendor. But there's a lot of information on the net from the community on how to learn Linux, because it's open source. You can run Linux on the same hardware, so on Intel architecture you can run it on.
Okay.
You can run it on Linux can run on smartphones as well and many other devices.
Okay.
Windows can only run on a PC or some smartphones, as we know.
Yeah.
So you'll find a lot of these, the Raspberry Pi, for example, that runs a flavor of Linux. Okay, you can't run Windows on a Raspberry Pi. Okay.
Okay.
You can install Linux on your PS3 or your Xbox, the original Xbox. So Linux has a lot more support for different devices. File system support pretty similar. Linux has its similarities with Unix. It's a commercial version of Linux.
Yeah.
So the big boys like HP and IBM and Sun have their own version of Unix. So Unix is very similar to Linux, but it's not free.
Ah.
Okay. So if you see the phrase star NIX, that refers to Linux and Unix. All right. So if you want to learn Unix, the best way and the cheapest way is to learn Linux. So you can do Linux, you can then do Unix as well.
Sweet.
So the way you interact with Linux in the old days, it was command line driven. So just like your DOS prompt, a lot of Linux and Unix was all based around the command line. So there'll be a lot of scripting. It was quite difficult in the early days. It was all command line driven. Now a lot of Unix distributions and Linux have graphical user interfaces. So they've got the familiar look and feel that a lot of Windows systems have. The biggest difference is viruses and threats you can have on both operating systems. So if you look at Windows has had about there's been about 60,000 viruses in Windows.
Wow.
Linux is very few. It's when you do have a problem on Linux, it's very easy to detect and very easy to fix. So in comparison, there's only been about 60 to 100 viruses to date on Linux,
Right.
compared to Microsoft's 60,000. Okay, so managing Linux, and it's a lot more secure operating system.
Though on the other side, obviously, Windows is used more by most people. It's also got more. I'm guessing. I'm guessing on this one. I'm guessing on this one, but it's got more protection, hasn't it? More security protection. What would you say?
What's that? Microsoft.
Yeah, because they've got all these updates going through. They're always protecting it as well. Whereas I'm guessing because Linux
You
is
can
free.
do the same Linux, yeah. So if you could, so Red Hat, for example, there's a Red Hat updater. So whenever there's a new update, your system realizes
does
that
it patch it?
It works in the same way. There's an update tool, just like Windows Update.
Oh, okay.
There's new patches available, exactly.
Right.
Installing software on Linux is a lot easier. There's no registry. Everything is basically a file. Okay,
Yeah.
so removing files and installing software, it's a lot easier than Windows. There's no registry like you have in Windows, and so the registry is one of the main sources of attacks of virus software and malware sort of stuff. That whole concept doesn't exist in the Linux world. So a lot of enterprises who use commercial enterprise software, the banks and different industries, those that Unix see a lot of benefits in that. It's a different camp. So now you can get Unix tools running on Windows.
Okay.
Okay, so you can make your Windows machine have a number of tools and command line up features that are available on Linux. And that's called Cygwin, C-Y-G-W-I-N. So if you want to learn Linux on your Windows machine, then you don't need to install Linux, because installing an operating system may be a bit of a challenge for some people, and you might not have the hardware. If you want to learn kind of basic Unix commands, install Cygwin on your machine.
Cygwin.
Yep, C-Y-G-W-I-N is free, and you'll get the simple unit, or you'll get the Unix commands available to you.
Sweet, exciting.
And how do you learn? Well, there's lots of information there. Again, we're here. We can support. I've basically been grown up on Linux and Unix, so more than happy to answer questions on that side. But there's lots of information out there. The world of automation and enterprises are they flourish in the Linux environment.
You can also get a bootable version of Linux as well, can't you, onto a disk? So
there's something called Damn Small Linux. It's actually called Damn Small Linux.
Called?
Yep, it's about 30 megabytes. It's a full operating system.
Yeah.
You can copy it onto a USB stick, put it in your computer, in your PC, boot off the USB. It's just an ISO image. And when you boot off the image, it boots a working Linux system. Excellent. With a browser and everything.
Ooh,
yeah,
exciting.
Imagine a full operating system in
on a
less than 40 meg, a 40 meg USB stick.
Wow.
How exciting.
That does sound fun. Let's move on to our last question then. We're short of time. What is the purpose of a gateway in a network setup?
Okay, a gateway is a device or a node on a network which basically serves as an entrance into another network. So those of you who've got internet at home, their ISP will provide a gateway which enables you to connect to the internet. So the most gateways are gateways can be physical devices. Your router will have a default gateway, or your default router is also called a gateway. That enables you to use the internet. Basically, it's transferring traffic from your home network and enabling you to connect across to the internet. So the gateways, you could have multiple gateways, and the gateways will allow traffic to go from one network to another network. I think we had a similar question a few weeks ago.
Did we?
Yeah, that's what the router does.
Oh.
So a router has similar functionality to a gateway. Okay.
Nice.
If you want to know what the IP address of your gateway is on Windows, ipconfig/all, and you'll see default gateway.
Default gateway.
Okay, so every network card will have a default gateway.
There you have it, people. Okay. Default gateway is.
It's like the front door to this center. That's our gateway to go home. Okay. If that gateway is shut, we're stuck in this building. We won't be able to get out.
So nothing happens. Nothing interesting can happen. We're just stuck in one place.
So when ISPs have problems, if the ISP's gateway goes down, then you can't surf the net.
Ooh.
And we can't go home.
That's the simplest way to put it, I guess. Right, so moving on.
Yep. So.
Oh, I'll let you have it. Here you go.
So, we were talking about handsets, and I had a short stint with the Sony Xperia, which is a nice new device, nice funky features, looked wonderful, waterproof.
Yeah.
Didn't find it really, really usable, and I was struggling with the Android because I'm coming from an iOS Apple background.
Okay.
So that handset went back, and curiosity is always a wonderful thing. I read some reviews of the HTC, which was voted the best handset of this year in the what's the name of that conference? The Mobile Web Conference in January.
World Conference, yeah.
So it's one of the handsets which looks like this. Okay, you'll see that on YouTube and the Facebook. It feels like it's a wonderful device, very well built, not like the Samsung plastic experience or the Xperia glass. It's got a solid aluminium frame at the back, and you can see two prominent speakers at the top and the bottom. It sounds phenomenal. And the HTC Sense interface is just absolutely so easy to use. What it will do is on your home page, you can have a mashup of all your news feeds. So it comes out of the box with categories like Internet, The Guardian, Independent. You just turn them on, and straight away you've got your news on your home screen that you can scroll.
Yeah.
So my Android experience is a lot easier with this than the Sony Xperia.
There you go.
Because of this HTC Sense theme. Camera's really nice. You can take some really fantastic pictures, and you can share them onto your HTC Flickr.
Okay.
And you can there's one button at the top. I'm used to the button on the top right hand side. on the top on the
Right.
right side. So that's the only difficulty I'm having. Because on the iPhone it's always on the right. On
Okay.
here it's on the top left. And it's not really a full button.
Right.
It's almost like depressed. So that's the only bad thing about this phone. But apart from that,
Well, if that's the bad
very
point, then
very usable. It's even got an inbuilt IR to control your TV and your Virgin Media box, so your Sky box. You can control your amp with it.
yeah.
With there's a few applications now which can, it's like a learning remote. I'm sure there'll be more in the future. Got the usual Android bits. You've got the Google Play Store. You can download the usual apps. And I'm liking this. I think I'm going to keep this one. It's just I think what's working well for me is the HTC Sense. That whole interface. It's just very simple to use. So that's it. That's the HTC One handset. There's a logo at the back of Beats Audio. So if you've got some Dre Beats headphones, sounds phenomenal.
Have you set it up the way you would use it, like how you would use your iPhone?
In fact, I've not really set it up at all. I'm just using it out of the box, and it seems more than sufficient.
Okay.
I've installed a few apps, like Auto Trader, WhatsApp, a few of the remote control apps, but the Facebook and Twitter integration is there.
Yeah.
This skin here with the news feeds, it just works out of the box. I'm really happy with it.
So no
It's
need
done
to.
silent. Yes, I'm pleasantly surprised. So I think I'm going to be keeping this. And the poor old iPhone 5 just looks so old.
Well, you never know. Have you seen? I don't know if you've seen those. I don't know if it looks quite fake. To be fair, the iPhone 5S has rumours of iPhone 6 with a projector coming out of it.
Yeah, that's just a rumor. I think it's one having.
It's one of those. But if that could be, they made that.
That would be nice.
That would be pretty awesome.
Yeah,
That looks-
I doubt it very much.
If it did, it would be.
But I
pretty
think a lot of the things we're seeing in these handsets will be in iOS 7, in the
You
whole
think so?
widget concept and
Yeah.
the more things which Apple have not put in the iPhone 5.
I don't think they like widgets, do they?
It's coming in apparently in iOS
Really?
7. Yeah.
Wow,
'Cause,
that's the first.
Yeah, because I think they're realizing they've got to do something revolutionary with the software at least. So the HTC One, nice handset. Anybody who's interested in getting this, I would strongly recommend it. It feels like a premium product.
A rate out of 10?
Yeah. I'd give it an 8.
An 8 out of
Yeah,
10.
give it an 8. Moving on a 9.
And the Xperia?
I'd say about 6.
6 out of
Yeah.
10.
iPhone is about 7. Yeah.
Has to be the one in the middle.
Would've-
No matter what. Has to be in
Um,
that mix.
So yeah, that's the HTC One.
So positives, the build quality, the UI, negatives.
The on-off button, if it was more of a button,
Right.
that you could depress and feel it, that would be nice. This same thing with the slider, the actual volume control on the right hand side. It's in a nice position, but it's not really like a button.
It doesn't feel like
It
a
doesn't
rubber
feel like
button.
a button, yeah.
Hmm.
But you can live with that.
Yeah.
But the size is perfect. It's not a 5-inch screen. I think it's 4.7 or something.
Okay.
It feels nice in the hand. It feels nice and solid. It's very loud. The quality is excellent of audio and also on phone calls.
Uh-huh.
And the Sense, this HTC Sense software, amazing. Really impressed with it.
Well, I've just had a little fiddle with it just now, and it's pretty impressive.
It is, isn't it? It is.
I've seen the videos where I wasn't so chuffed about it, but now I've just held it in my hand and I've just played with it a little bit, and my S3 just feels like a bit meh compared to that.
Yeah,
That just feels pretty awesome.
it's that plasticky backing on the S3, which is the same on the S4 as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
Though they have said that the size might be slightly more premium, though it's not what people want. They want more premium build like the HTCs.
yeah, and
I just hope when the HTC One lives up to its standards, because the One X did not. They released some software patches to it, updates to the software. They just ruined it. Hopefully the HTC One takes off and it does well.
I think this is the dark horse of smartphones today, because I think the HTC don't have the marketing capability of Samsung or
Yeah.
Apple. Everyone hears about the Samsung and the amount of they spend millions, hundreds of millions on marketing. HTC don't do that.
Hmm.
But I now understand why it was voted as the best handset back in January. I mean, it feels like a phone should feel.
Yeah.
When you think about it, I think HTC deserved that accolade, because when smartphones started off, it was all about HTC.
HTC.
I remember with HTC
Yeah.
sliding keyboards
What?
when the smartphones first came out.
Weren't they one of the first business companies for mobile world?
I think so. Yeah.
as
Yeah.
known. It's a big step.
I remember Orange had the first colour handset. That was HTC.
Wow.
They produced, I think it was the SPV.
SPV.
Yeah, with a colour screen. It's like a 1 inch colour screen.
1 inch colour screen.
Yeah.
There you have it, listeners.
That's it, HTC One.
That's him, all goofy, lined up and ready to take that home once again. That's it for today's show. Any final words?
No, zero.
Zero final words. There you have it. There you have it, listeners. We are finally signing out. And we'll see you again next week, inshallah. Same place, same radio station, 107.6. And keep listening to Radio Dawn. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. And assalamu alaikum to all the listeners out there.